Tonight, the talk is on Sati Sampajanna. Sati Sampajanna is the main thing that we practice in meditation, and so it is a very important topic, how to practice to help us get out of the round of rebirth. As you know, the Buddha taught that we have to practice the Noble Eightfold Path to get out of samsara. So, besides Sati Sampajanna, there are other things to practice, like keeping the precepts, moral conduct, being contented, guarding the sense doors, be moderate in eating, practice wakefulness, not to sleep too much, etc. But the main practice in meditation is concerned with the Sati Sampajanna. So we have to understand the meaning of these two words very well. Now, first I'd like to say that there is a great danger in using a translation of a Pali word literally. I'll give you an example. Sanya. Sanya is one of the 5 khandhas, one of the 5 aggregates of attachment. And in Chinese, Sanya, in this Wu Yin, 5 aggregates, the Sanya is translated as Xiang, which is thinking. And then, many years ago, when I started learning the Dhamma, and there were translations, English translations of Buddhist books, Theravada Buddhist books were just coming out, they used to translate it as labeling. And then nowadays they translate it as perception. So, if you take a word, a translation literally, then you'll be confused. Which word should I take? Is it thinking, or is it labeling, or is it perception? So to understand the meaning of Sanya, you have to go into the suttas to see how the Buddha defined Sanya, or how he used it to understand the meaning. And then from there we find that the word Sanya actually he did not give a real definition for the word Sanya, but he gave instances of how it's used. For example, you see this, your perception of this cloth is that it is yellow. Your perception of this thing is black, etc., or red, or yellow, or green, etc. Now somebody else might be colorblind, and his perception of a particular color may be different from yours. So that's one thing. The other thing, the Buddha said, perception is formed by habit. For example, a man sees a woman's body as attractive, or a woman sees a man's body as attractive. But this perception can be changed. Buddha said, if we practice the 32 parts of the body contemplation, then we'll be able to see, when we look at the body, not only surface deep, skin deep, but we see the inside of the body. If we contemplate the 32 parts of the body, then when we look at the body, we will see head hair, body hair, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, bone, marrow, kidney, heart, liver, midriff, spleen, lung, etc. So you see the body in its more Hokkien or say kasit, see it more clearly, not just superficially. And then perhaps your attraction towards a human body may diminish, lust may diminish. That is the purpose of the practice of the 32 parts of the body meditation. So from here you can see that this perception can be changed. So you understand better the meaning of perception. It's like a conception, an idea you have or something. For example, you think somebody is a very nice person. Somebody else may not have the same perception. Somebody else may think that person is a very repulsive person. So that's the meaning of sanya. So the same with sati. Nowadays people translate it as mindfulness. And people think that because sati means mindfulness, they have to practice general awareness of everything that's happening around them. And so much so that I have even heard a monk telling a lay person that he doesn't have to sit down to meditate. If he's just mindful of everything around him, he is practicing meditation. But that is not what the Buddha said, because, for example, animals are very mindful. If you observe, for example, a monkey is extremely mindful because the monkey has to walk on the branches, and if he steps on a dead branch, he will fall to his death. So every step he takes on the trees, he is extremely mindful of the type of wood that he steps on, and he's also very mindful of the sounds around him. Any sound comes, he is aware to see whether it's a sign of danger or not. So the same with other animals, like the birds. You see the bird come down on the ground to look for food, pecking away at food. Every now and then it's looking around to see, to hear whether there's any danger. So animals are very mindful, but they don't have wisdom. So that is not the practice of sati. Fortunately, in the suttas, there are about 9 suttas that give the definition of sati. And the definition of sati that is given is that sati means remembering what was said and done a long time ago. Remembers what was said and done a long time ago. So, the meaning here is recollection, the quality of remembering. Quality of remembering, that is the definition of sati given by the Buddha. And this word sati, if you check the Pali English dictionary, it comes from a word that is spelled S-M-R-T-I, smrti or something, which means to remember. So, sati has everything to do with remembering, not mindfulness or awareness. And if you look at, for example, the Satipatthana Sutta, then you find, what is it we are trying to remember? We have to remember to contemplate body, feelings, mind and Dhamma. Body, feelings, mind and Dhamma. This is the object of sati. And not to contemplate other things. If we contemplate other things, then we are concerned with worldly things. And then we might be very good in the world, very successful in the world. For example, if you contemplate, for example, the stock market, or you contemplate somebody's reaction, somebody's body language, etc., you might be a very successful person in the world, but you are not practicing Dhamma. So, the first thing about sati is to remember, to contemplate body, feelings, mind and Dhamma. Why is it we have to practice, to remember, to contemplate these 4 things? Because it helps us to end suffering. What is the cause of suffering? Basically, the cause of we suffer because we have a self, a notion of an ego, a self. And this ego or self is tied up with the 5 khandhas. The Buddha said 5 things we take to be the self. Body, feelings, perception, volition and consciousness. Whenever we refer to ourselves, whether in the past or present or future, it is always with respect to body, feelings, perception, volition and consciousness. But the Buddha said, This idea of a self is something that is permanent, something that is lasting. And we have to see that these 5 things, body, feeling, perception, volition and consciousness, is impermanent, that it is nothing stable about it, that it comes about through conditions, causes and conditions. It arises and it passes away. So if we can contemplate these 5 khandhas, that will help us end our suffering. And these 5 khandhas is basically body and mind. So here, the 4 objects of Satipatthana is body or Sati, is body, feelings, mind and Dhamma. Body is one thing. Feelings, mind can be grouped together with volition, etc., perception, etc., as mind, the working of mind. Dhamma is the teaching of the Buddha. Teaching of the Buddha. So, the Buddha is trying to tell us to put our attention on the body, mind and the Dhamma, basically. Not on worldly things. If you put your attention on worldly things, you caught up with the stream of life and you forget about the Dhamma. You're not practicing Dhamma. So in order to make us understand the Buddha gave a parable of a tortoise and a jackal. Buddha said one day a tortoise was walking along the banks of a river and he was looking for food, and in the distance he saw a jackal. Jackal is something like a kind of dog, a kind of wolf or something. And then jackal was also looking for food. So the tortoise, of course, was afraid that this jackal might eat this tortoise. So to protect itself, it withdrew its 4 limbs into its shell and the head also into its shell. So it lay very still. So the jackal came up to this tortoise and he thought to himself, if this tortoise, if one of the limbs comes out or the head comes out, I'm going to seize it and pull it out of the shell and eat it alive. So he waited 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and he knew that this tortoise was not going to come out. He got tired of waiting and he walked away. So the Buddha said, in the same way, Mara, Satan, is waiting for us at the 5 sense doors. These 4 limbs plus the head represent 5 things, the 5 sense doors. The eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, and the body touch. And these, what the Buddha is saying is that if we go and pay attention to sights that the eye wants to see, to sounds that the ear wants to hear, to smells, to taste, to touch, and Mara will seize us and catch us like the jackal waiting for the tortoise. So the Buddha said, don't pay attention to the 5 sense doors. Put your attention on the body, mind and Dhamma. So from there you can see. The other thing the Buddha said, another practice related to Sati Sampajanna is Indriya Samvara. Indriya Samvara is sense restraint. The Buddha said not to grasp or pay attention to the characteristics or details of sights, sounds, smells, taste, touch and thoughts. So don't be concerned with the details of sight, sound, smell, taste, these 6 sense doors, including thoughts, even thoughts. We don't actually pay attention to the contents of the thought. So this is the first thing we have to remember. The meaning of Sati, firstly, is concerned with remembering, and to remember to put your attention or to contemplate on body, feelings, mind or Dhamma, or basically body, mind and Dhamma. So this is the first thing in the practice of Sati. There are other things that we have to remember in the practice of Sati Sampajanna, but that is the first thing. Now, what is the Sampajanna, the meaning of Sampajanna? The actual meaning of Sampajanna is not defined in the suttas, but the Buddha explained the use of Sampajanna in the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 10, Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha said, practice of Sampajanna is, for example, when you are walking, you know you are walking. When you are sitting, you know you are sitting. When you are standing, you know you are standing. When you are sleeping, you know you are sleeping. When you are eating, you know you are eating. When you are drinking, when you are going to the bathroom, when you are doing any action, any bodily action, you are aware. Changing your clothes, etc. In other words, you are aware or mindful of your bodily actions. That is how you use Sampajanna. Another way you practice Sampajanna, given in Anguttara Nikaya 8.9, is the Buddha said, recognize feelings arise, recognize they endure, recognize they set, recognize perceptions arise, recognize they endure, recognize they set, recognize thoughts arise, recognize they endure, recognize they set. So in other words, you have to be aware of your feelings, perceptions and thoughts as they arise, they endure and they pass away. So in other words, this practice of Sampajanna is being aware of your bodily actions, being aware of your mental actions. That's how you practice Sampajanna. So the meaning of Sampajanna is awareness or mindfulness, and that is concerned with your body and your bodily actions and your mental actions. So you can see Sati Sampajanna works together. Sati is to remember, to put your attention on body, mind and the Dhamma. And Sampajanna is putting it into focus, being aware of the body, mind and Dhamma. You can include that. Now let us consider a normal person in a normal waking state. When you are in the normal waking state, you go about life daily. You are generally aware of what you are doing. Especially if what you are doing is a routine chore. For example, washing clothes, sweeping the floor, which you do every day. When you do this type of routine chore, there is minimal awareness or mindfulness. Why? Because it is so routine, you're so used to it. You don't have to put effort to do it. It becomes like automatic. And your awareness or mindfulness is just enough to deal with unexpected circumstances. Should they occur? For example, you're sweeping, and then suddenly you notice a broken glass on the floor. Then your mindfulness is enough to catch that as a danger, so you don't step on it. Otherwise, if there's no such danger, you just sweep as though it's automatic. But when you have to do a more difficult work, then you have to have more mindfulness. For example, you are working on the computer, and different things come out on the computer screen. You have to have more mindfulness or awareness. In other words, more concentration applied on what you are doing. So, that is the normal daily life of an ordinary person. You see here that person is aware, that a person is mindful of what is happening around him. But he does not have sati. He does not have sati because he does not remember to put his mindfulness or attention on body, feelings and the Dhamma. His mindfulness is all over the place, but not directed on where it should be, body, mind and the Dhamma. In other words, he is not practicing the Dhamma to end suffering. So, to make us understand the working of an ordinary mind, the Buddha gave a parable of a hunter and 6 animals. The Buddha said, suppose a hunter caught 6 animals and he tied these 6 animals with 6 ropes. What are these 6 animals? The first one is an eagle. The second one is a monkey. Third one is a snake. Fourth is a crocodile. fifth is a dog, sixth is a hyena. So having tied these 6 animals, he took these 6 ropes and he tied these 6 ropes into a knot and he let the animals go. So what happens? The eagle wants to fly into the air. The monkey wants to climb up the tree. The snake wants to find a hole to hide. The crocodile wants to go into the river. The dog wants to go into town to look for food. The hyena wants to go up the hill, its natural home. So these 6 animals are pulling in 6 different directions. And the Buddha said, whichever one is strongest, he will pull, the others have to follow him. But he's pulling 5 animals, so after some time he gets tired. So when he gets tired, some other animal is stronger, he will pull, and the other 5 have to follow him. So the 6 animals are moving in 6 different directions. So the Buddha said it is the same with our 6 sense doors. Our 6 sense doors, we have 6 sense objects. The sights or forms are pulling your attention, want you to see. Sounds are pulling your attention, want you to hear. Smells want you to smell. Taste, touch and thoughts. So the mind is running out through the 6 sense doors all the time. Whichever one is strongest will pull your attention. For example, now you are trying to listen to the Dhamma. So you are listening. But suddenly if a car goes by and somebody sounds the horn, bon, so loud, suddenly your attention will be pulled there. And then later, after as you are listening to the Dhamma, maybe a mosquito bites you and you feel the pain. Suddenly your attention will go there again. So your mind is running out through the 6 sense doors in 6 different directions. And this parable of the hunter and the 6 animals makes us understand the working of a normal mind. So it's not that the mind is not mindful. The mind is not aware. It is aware and mindful, but the mindfulness is running all over the place. It is an uncontrolled mind, an undeveloped mind. And that is of an ordinary person who does not understand the Dhamma. Now, suppose you who have understood the Dhamma, who have learned the Dhamma, then you start to think you want to practice Sati Sampajanna. You want to put Sati Sampajanna into practice. And you go about your daily life, you try to practice Sati Sampajanna. You try to put your mind on, your attention on the body, the mind and the Dhamma. But every now and then you find your mind runs away. You find it so difficult to practice this in your daily life because first you have to go about with your work. Secondly, your mind is always running here and there. You are thinking all the time. When you think of the past, you are running backwards to the past. When you plan for the future, you are running forwards. You are not standing still. You are not in the present. You are not in the moment. You are going backwards and forwards into the past and into the future. People go into the past because of certain things they regret. They regret over the past. They keep on thinking about the past. And people who are ambitious, they are always planning in the future, how to make more money, etc., etc. So they keep running into the future. But if you want to practice Sati Sampajanna, to contemplate body, the mind and the Dhamma, you have to be in the now, in the present, all the time. In other words, you have to stop thinking. You have to stop thinking. You have to stop worrying. You have to stop planning, scheming. And this is not easy to do. Why? Because your mind has been your best friend, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Why is it your best friend? Because if there's any danger, you use the thinking mind. How to avoid that danger. How to overcome that danger. If you want to look for a living, you use your thinking mind. How to make a living. How to succeed in your work, etc. So, because we use our mind so much, our mind is much developed compared to animals and other beings. So that is why we are called man, M-A-N, from the word mano. Mano is the thinking faculty, M-A-N-O. So we are so used to thinking that it is quite difficult to stop thinking. And in fact, we are quite reluctant to stop thinking. And this is the real renunciation. If you want to practice the holy life, either as a monk or as a lay person, you have to renounce your thinking. Have to stop your thinking, because your thinking is the ego support system, your ego protection system. And this, to renounce, is not easy. You have to practically give up yourself. But this is what is required if you want to be successful in meditation, in the practice of Sati Sampajanna. So you see, the second requirement in the practice of Sati is you have to remember to be in the present, to stop thinking, to stop planning, just be in the now. That is the second requirement. Now to recapitulate, Sati means to remember or recollection, and it means first to remember, to contemplate body, mind, the working of the body and the mind, and Dhamma. Dhamma that the Buddha taught is for us to realize, understand, to end our suffering. And Sampajanna is awareness or mindfulness, putting that mindfulness into action, contemplation into action, being mindful of your bodily actions, being mindful of your mental actions. And these two have to work together. Now we come to consider the sleep state. Just now we considered the normal waking state. Normal waking state, you want to practice Sati Sampajanna, you have to remember to contemplate body, mind and Dhamma, and you have to be in the present, two things. Now we consider the sleep state. When you are sleeping and you are dreaming, are you aware? Are you mindful? Actually you are. In fact, you are quite mindful. You are very mindful, very aware. Why? Because there's no other distractions. No other thing to distract you. You're only dreaming. It's only doing one thing. So you are very aware of your dreaming state. You are even in the now, the present. In your dream, you are in the now and present. But it is a deluded present. You are deluded because you are deluded by the dream. So because you are deluded by the dream, you take everything to be real. You become very excited if there is some danger. And you become very moved. You are totally involved in the dream. Just like some people, when they see a show, it's a sad show, they start to cry. All the tears falling all over the place. Or if it's something very funny, you start to laugh uncontrollably. You are caught up by the picture or the dream. You take it to be real. So, if you want to practice Sati Sampajanna, this is the third thing you need to do, is to be detached. To be detached from that dream. To be detached from what you see. Even in the waking state, you need to be detached. Because if you are not detached, even in the waking state, you become very involved. Everything that happens, you get heated up, you get emotionally disturbed, etc. But if you are detached, then you see things objectively, and you don't suffer so much. So this is the third ingredient of Sati. You have to remember to be detached. So these are the three things in the practice of Sati. You have to contemplate body, mind and the Dhamma is the first thing. Secondly, you have to remember to be in the present. No daydreaming. Always be in the present to see things clearly. The third one, you have to be detached from everything to be objective. Now, to be detached is not so easy. So, in the suttas, the Buddha gave a very good formula. It's because a lot of people, they don't study the suttas, they don't know that the Buddha gave all this practice in the suttas. It's all found there, except that people don't study the suttas, they don't know. What is the formula the Buddha gave? The Buddha said, always remember to see, when you practice Sati Sampajanna, this body, this mind, and all bodies and all minds as, this is not mine, this is not I, this is not myself. This is not mine, this is not I, this is not myself. So, if you are able to do that as often as you can, and if you perfect it even in a dream, if you are dreaming, then you're aware, this is not I, or this is not mine, this is not I, this is not myself, then you become detached. In fact, some people, sometimes, if their mind are a bit developed, due to good karma in the past, maybe meditated in the past life, some people, when they are dreaming, they are able to realize that actually they are dreaming. Even though they know that something is happening in their dream, they realize that this is a dream. So that is the way to be detached, to remember this is not mine, this is not I, this is not myself.